Alright, this is my deck, and I'm asking ChatGPT to come up with something interesting to talk about because I can't do it myself. Let's see. Eugenics-based forced sterilization of certain populations for the betterment of society. So today, guys, I'm going to be talking about why eugenics, I don't even know how to pronounce it, is such a fantastic thing and why it is totally justifiable. So, if you guys want to look at the numbers, first of all, let's go over some certain topics. It is undeniable that traits such as intelligence are largely genetic and that they're passed down genetically, meaning that certain people of lesser intelligence, if they were to reproduce, their offspring would also be of lesser intelligence. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that more or less intelligence is harmful or beneficial to society, but there are certain things and maybe potentially certain cases where we should prevent reproduction. So, for example, let's say that someone has a genetic trait which guarantees that their offspring will have this horrible disease that'll hurt them. I'm not doing this. This kind of makes me think about the perspective of somebody that's forced to vote by bipartisan lines. Say that you're it doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, we're talking U.S. politics here. Say you're a Republican, right? And say Trump comes out with some crazy bill that goes like, we need to eat babies when babies turn 2. We need to eat them. And you have to follow him, because if you vote Democrat, then everyone is going to be like, wow, look at this guy. He's such a traitor. He's such a traitor. He doesn't even do what Trump is saying. He is such a horrible person. We need to kick him out the next time we vote. So you have to walk up to the stage, and look, Trader Towers. You have to go, did better than Trader Towers. You have to go, guys, eating babies is not something I would normally say is great, but Donald Trump makes a case about trying to boost the economy and avoid over expenditure on the young. So Donald Trump, yeah, so I will be voting for the bill to support the eating of babies. That's like the same situation. And obviously, I'm taking this to an extreme, but that's the same situation as me asking ChatGPT for an opinion that can't be justified, and then being impelled to justify it. Compelled, not impelled or impaled. So, and that just makes me think about our political system, and it's kind of awful. Don't you hate that we have to split everything into two groups, and each individual, they can't have their own perspective, but again have to side with one side or the other. And the horrible part about this is that it means they can't even necessarily just go for what their state wants. You can't come up with the policies that best support your state, given that you're a representative of that state. No, you can't do that in America. Instead, you just have to vote for this one, there's this one homogenous perspective. There's one homogenous view that you have to follow, and it's just set by the leader. And that's it. If you go against it at all, you're seen as a traitor, you get expunged, and it's over for you. That is just horrible. Now, because we're talking today about becoming the devil's advocate, let's try talking about why this might be a good thing. Okay, say we have a system where any individual can do what they want and not have to abide by those rules. We might lose this game. So what could happen in that scenario is that that individual could just have these really extreme views. So, for example, maybe if there's someone that's potentially against human rights, I guess, and then they could vote against everyone else. But even then, it doesn't exactly make sense, because they could vote against it, but it's going to be up to the majority. So having party lines and all that just seems to be a byproduct of how everyone has to be advertised as a political candidate. For example, I was watching a podcast with Alex O'Connor, and he was interviewing some other guy. You had the information, I forgot your name, who helped political campaigners. And they said that for the Democrats, an important issue was gun control. but they didn't want to bring up the topic of gun control. Oh, I'm really sucking at this game. They didn't want to bring up the topic because that would be something that made them unpopular. So they have this policy towards gun control, but they have to market themselves in a certain way. They have to ignore it because they want to get voters that would care about gun control, and their voters potentially like already know like what is happening. Can we have a political system that allows candidates to be forthcoming? Please can we have that? The fact that we can't have that is just so annoying. And then there's the question of whether that is something that's due to certain bad actors or if it's a result of the underlying structure. And is there any better underlying structure? Let's talk about direct democracy. Okay, everybody votes. First of all, I'm going to say a lot of arguments against direct democracy are pretty elitist. They go like, oh, well, the average person doesn't know enough, so they shouldn't be allowed to vote. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think that's pretty ungracious. It's not the best thing to say necessarily, but you can at least agree that if votes come down to the average person, the biggest issue with direct democracy is that the minority is never protected. Take this for example. What if there was a bill that says that if your first name starts with the letter A through, I don't know, like A through N, something that includes most people, then you get $500. And to pay for this bill, if your name is not, then you have to pay $1,000. Okay, maybe some of the earlier voters, they have their morals and like, oh, I don't want to hurt those people, so we're not going to vote. But a lot of them are like, you're saying this bill gives me free money? Sure, I'll sign it. Obviously, the people that are going to give up the money, they don't want to sign the bill. They're like, I don't want to sign this, I'm going to vote against it. But they're in the minority, so in a direct democracy, they're going to lose. When it's a direct vote, again, the minority is not protected. And you could say that the minority is never protected in any system in like to some extent, but direct democracy just makes it so easy for minorities to be, oh, this is really good, violated. Look, I'm just about to win this game. Oh shoot, he retargeted, he's smart. Okay, I just lost, never mind. Wait, how much damage does that do? Okay, yes, ha 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 ha. Back to my discussion. Okay, so I started out by saying that in the current political climate, whatever, and it's been like this probably for a really long time, all congressmen, everyone in the House of Representatives, the Senate, they have to make their decisions based off of how they think they're going to be perceived as adhering to party lines. And to break away against that hardly ever happens, because as soon as it does, that person's labeled as a traitor, and everyone riots up against them, votes them, takes them away, until we're just left with the people that just agree with whatever is said by the party leader, which is horrible. And then we're thinking, is this caused by the way people act? I honestly think that there isn't an easy way to fix this. I don't think there's any easy fixes, and my guess is that the problem is structural. But now, if the problem is structural, well, what alternative can we come up with that will avoid this problem? So direct democracy, then we don't even have representatives. It's just whatever people say. But then we have no minority protection. What else can we come up with? I want you guys to come up with ideas. Right now, we're making a new government. We're going to have a little city-state out in the middle of the ocean, okay? Join me in the ocean. Because this stuff is so annoying. It's so annoying. Something else I want to bring up politically that I've thought about, though, is that, honestly, and I don't know if this is true about a lot of you guys, I just don't really care. Maybe that makes me a horrible person, but I hear about this is what the liberals are going to do, this is about what, this is what the Republicans are going to do, and both of them sound pretty meh. It's just whatever. Like, okay, sending the immigrants back, that seems pretty lame. Why would they do that? Like, I don't like that. Abortions, that's something that happens, okay, like, but a lot of that stuff, I feel like either way, it doesn't have that much of an effect on America's future. Like, okay, you do this, like in economics, for example, you can decide to get your money from taxing more and getting it directly and, putting it back into the economy by spending it, or you can let the economy run free and you can just try to reduce spending so that they will make more over time, and then you don't even need to spend, you're not spending as much, so you don't need to collect as much. But either way, the economy of your nation is not even that different, right? So you can do it one way, you can do it another way, but if both ways roughly work, then what are we even talking about? It's just a matter of preference. I guess maybe the one way of directly giving ends up helping the lower classes a little bit more, and another way helps the upper class. So maybe, okay, I just lost again. Whatever. Maybe this is a class war. What class am I in? I don't know. Maybe I'm upper middle class, so maybe this is why I'm ignorant of the whole thing. So you can let me know. But basically, I just said politics, 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 and after all of that, I don't really care. I don't really care. If you guys care about politics, tell me some politics in the comments. Can I get a politics? Everybody say politics, okay? Go politics. Politics. And politics are controversial, right? So you guys are going to watch this, you're going to subscribe, you're going to like. Somebody's right down there looking at me. Because they like politics probably. But I don't like politics. Okay, bye.